Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine. And I've got lots of big news to share with you in today's video. So today's date is March 17th, 2025, and it's Monday. So welcome back to the channel for another wonderful week of news. And I hope you guys all had a great weekend, and maybe some of you are still out traveling right now for spring break. So I hope you guys have a good time and stay safe out there. So let's go ahead and jump into this story that you see here on your screen. Zelensky signs law permitting Ukrainian troops to operate abroad. This is apparently during martial law, where these troops will be able to be sent outside the country. The law aims to enhance defense cooperation with partner nations, particularly by enabling Ukrainian forces to participate in training and receive military equipment, according to Oleksiy Oncharenko, if I'm saying his last name right. So he is a member of their parliament, so like a lawmaker basically, who stated this. So this is interesting information. So it makes you wonder if Ukraine is preparing some sort of operations outside the country. I mean, we know that Ukrainian soldiers are training in multiple nations, like in Europe, getting training for forming new brigades for the war against Russia. So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out and why Ukraine might be doing this right now. So I'll show you guys all that information here in just a little bit. And also we have reports last night, Ukraine launching a pretty massive drone attack into Russia. I'm not hearing of anything too significant being hit, but we did have the Astrakhan gas processing facility that's located in the Astrakhan region. This is like southwestern Russia. Reportedly, it was attacked again, and we just gave you guys a report. I think it was early February that that same facility was hit and was reportedly offline for several weeks. So it looks like the Russians did get it back online, and Ukraine attacked it again. So there is reports of a fire that broke out there, but unfortunately at this time we don't have too much information as to whether there was major damage there, but reportedly it was attacked last night. I think airfields were being attacked. There was just numerous regions in Russia that were coming under attack by drones last night. So I've got some information on that, and then also lots of other updates, many things that we discussed last week. I've got some updates on several different things like the Kursk region, what's going on with this ceasefire deal with Russia. Is Russia going to accept it? We'll talk about all those details in today's video, but let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. Lots of information to discuss today. So we'll start off here with Nexta, Zelensky's global army. Ukraine's president has signed a law allowing the deployment of Ukrainian forces abroad during martial law. Under the new legislation, Ukrainian troops can operate outside the country for national security and deterring aggression, protecting Ukraine's sovereignty, self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Is Ukraine preparing to act beyond its borders, and how will this impact Kiev's military strategy? So, very interesting report. This was from Ukrinform right here, and it says the president signed a law on sending the armed forces of Ukraine to other states. You can see it dated here March 17, 2025, just today. President Vladimir Zelensky signed a law on certain issues of sending units of the armed forces of Ukraine to other states during the period of martial law. This became known from the parliament's website, Ukrinform reports. The law regulates that during the period of martial law, military units and subdivisions of the armed forces of Ukraine may be sent abroad to ensure national security, repel and deter armed aggression, protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, as well as exercise the right to self-defense in accordance with the Article 51 of the UN Charter. Okay, so wondering where Ukraine might start to deploy troops to. And I mean, obviously, they're still fighting hard against Russia, but let me know what you guys think, why they might be deploying troops outside the country, and maybe what other countries they might send them to. So here's the report directly from Ukraine's parliament's website, the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. It says here proposals of the president of Ukraine to the law on amendments of to certain laws of Ukraine regarding certain issues of sending units of the armed forces of Ukraine to other states during the period of martial law. Okay, so reportedly, Zelensky had signed this today, but I believe their parliament still has to approve it. So I'm not sure how much longer until this law will go into effect. But very big news today. Just wanted to share that with you guys. But let me know what you think about this on why Ukraine might be doing that. Now we'll move on to these attacks that were taking place inside of Russia last night. We've got an update here from Max24, and he just says update. And this is a map from Drone Bomber, which is a Russian Telegram channel showing the direction of all these drones where they were headed last night. So this bunch right here, you can see heading towards Astrakhan. This is where that gas facility is located that was reportedly targeted yesterday. You can see a lot of drones were heading that direction. Some down here into Krasnodar Krai, Rostov, and then just tons up here, okay, towards Ryazan regions, Nizhny Novgorod, lots of the regions close to the border of Ukraine, just really all over the place last night. But unfortunately, yeah, not too much information about what was being attacked. I think some airfields may have been under attack last night also inside of Russia, because we do have information on that, like this report right here. It's from Max 24. Russian planes are fleeing from their airfields. Drones attack, according to Russian media. Daigalivo, Russian aviation squadron, was evacuated, and Sava Sleka, if I'm saying that right, MiG-31Ks were also evacuated. Okay, so allegedly we had some airfields coming under attack. This is going to show what you can hear in the background. Sounds like drones incoming. We're not really sure where this video came from, but wasn't too much videos coming out last night from these drone attacks. But take a look at this. So it looks like somebody inside of Russia caught one of these drones incoming to their area again. Don't know exactly where this was taking place at, but reports of airfields being attacked last night. And then we have that Astrakhan gas facility with this report right here from PS01. Successful attack in Astrakhan. Okay, looks like it was on Telegram. Last night, the Ukrainian armed forces once again attempted a massive drone attack on the facilities located in the region, including the fuel and energy complex. The work shifts were evacuated in advance. The electronic warfare and air defense systems operated in the normal mode. When the UAV debris fell on the site, a fire broke out. Situation is under control. Emergency services specialists immediately began to eliminate the consequences. One person was injured in the attack. The victim has now been taken to the hospital. Okay, so this was on Telegram where we had this report. So it looks like they're stating that UAV debris fell on the site. So most likely that means it was hit at least once. And we do have reports of a fire. So for the most part, that's majority of the information we have on Astrakhan. But I've got this report also from Astra. And it says gas processing plant targeted an overnight attack in Astrakhan region. As Astra found out, Ukrainian drones attacked the Astrakhan gas processing plant in the Krasnoyarsky district overnight from March 16th to the 17th. A plant employee was hospitalized with shrapnel wounds. Around 10 drones were shot down, but the extent of the damage remains unknown. The Astrakhan gas processing plant was previously attacked on February 3rd, 2025, resulting in a fire at the facility. So this was that attack that I was telling you guys earlier that we reported on back in early February. This is a picture of the facility that was previously attacked last month, and it was shut down for several weeks. Looks like the Russians did get it back online, and now Ukraine allegedly attacked it again. So this is a pretty major gas processing plant for Russia's oil industry. So that's why Ukraine is attacking it so frequently, trying to take it down offline as long as they possibly can. So if I get more information on that, I'll let you guys know. But looks like right now, not too much information coming out just yet. Now we'll move on to Bliskovka. Military hospital caught fire in Vladikavkaz, Russia, South Ossetia, if I'm saying that right, according to Russian media. So this is like southwestern Russia, also not too far away from the Astrakhan region where that gas processing facility was attacked. So it looks like we also had a military hospital catching fire. Could it have been due to Ukrainian drones? Possibly, as drones were heading that direction also. But allegedly another hospital on fire, and this time a military hospital. We've seen quite a few military hospitals catching on fire, so this could also be the act of sabotage maybe also. Who knows what really happened here, but this is reportedly a picture coming out from that area showing smoke from the fire at this hospital. Now from Anton Gerashenko, a detonation of a Russian ammunition storage located in a village house in the Zaporizhia direction. Judging by the size of the explosion, there was a lot of good stuff there. And the video is from Rubak unit of the 65th Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Ground Forces. Okay, so down in the Zaporizhia region, in controlled territory by the Russians, looks like we had an FPV drone from the Ukrainians flying into what looks like an abandoned building, but it looks like also it had some ammunition stored in there. You can see that massive explosion. So it looks like they had a lot of ammo stored in there that was detonated and destroyed by the Ukrainian army. Okay, so again, down in the Zaporizhia region, this is like southern Ukraine, close to Crimea. This would have been in Russian-controlled territory. So good hit by the Ukrainians there, taking out that ammo storage location. Now from Savchenko, Vladimir, ending the war in Ukraine consists of plans A and B, according to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Plan A is to cease fire so that we can move to Plan B, to the second phase to bring everyone to the negotiating table to find a way to end this war on a solid basis, with respect for the interests of all parties. No one says that the second part will be easy, but we can't even start it until we get through the first phase. Okay, so this was just a statement coming out actually yesterday from Marco Rubio, but I wasn't here, so I wanted to share this information with you guys in case you didn't know about it. So that's kind of their plan right now. They're moving to, Situation A or Plan A, trying to get a ceasefire deal. Once they can do that, that's when they can start negotiating, moving to Plan B, and see if they can find a way to end this war. So right now, there's really not too much coming out on Russia. I mean, Russia, again, is just staying very quiet right now, not really responding to this ceasefire deal. We keep hearing potentially a timeline of weeks before Russia may even reply to anything in regards to this ceasefire deal, okay? Now we'll talk about the Kursk region a little bit. I've got a couple updates for you guys. This one from Nexta. Ukraine retreats from all but a sliver of land in Russia's Kursk region, according to the New York Times. The daring campaign Ukraine launched last summer to seize and hold the Russian territory appears to be nearing its end. The Ukrainian military command stated that troops have pulled back to more defensible positions inside Russia along the border, using hilly terrain to gain better control over advancing Russian forces. However, it remains unclear how long the Ukrainian forces will be able to hold on to this territory. Okay, so New York Times kind of reporting that Ukraine doesn't have a whole lot of control over Kursk anymore. We really don't know. There's so many maps coming out showing how much land Ukraine is currently controlling inside of Kursk, but we keep hearing from Ukraine's general staff and their top leaders of their military, like Oleksandr Syrsky, their commander of Ukraine's armed forces, stating that they're still inside of the Kursk region, still holding on and carrying out operations, but it looks like they have lost a significant amount of territory. So a lot of mainstream news coming out reporting that today. Here's another one from Nexta also. Like a horror movie, Ukraine's troops on Kursk retreat. BBC reports chilling testimonies from Ukrainian soldiers fighting in Kursk. Retreats under relentless Russian drone fire, blocking supply routes. Key roads bombed, dozens of vehicles destroyed, 70,000 Russian troops deployed, including 12,000 North Koreans and kamikaze drones. Ukraine inflicted 50,000 plus Russian casualties, but lost most gained territory. Was the operation a success? It forced Russia to redeploy forces, but at a heavy cost. Okay, so this is a report from BBC today. You can see here, everything is finished. Ukrainian troops relive retreat from Kursk. Okay, so we continue to hear this, that Ukraine is retreating from Kursk, but at the same time, their military, even Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, coming out and saying they're still operating in there. So it doesn't look like they've completely left Kursk region just yet, but just want to give you guys more updates. It's not looking good for Ukraine over here in the Kursk region, and we keep hearing that Russia's trying to cross over the border into the Sumy region. So it definitely looks like the situation is very tense and difficult over there for them right now. All right, now from next again, UK troops in Ukraine indefinitely. UK is ready to keep troops in Ukraine for as long as it takes, according to Prime Minister Keir Starmer confirms, as part of a broader Western effort to maintain stability. Up to 30,000 troops from the UK, France, Turkey, Canada, and Australia could be deployed, while other nations will contribute weapons and logistics as long as needed, Starmer pledged, making it clear Britain isn't planning a quick exit. Looks like the forever war is back on the menu, but this time with better accents. So yeah, apparently the UK is open to sending like 10,000 troops. We've heard that multiple times over the last week. And could we see up to 30,000 troops from multiple countries like the ones that were listed here? It looks like that Europe is very serious about sending their own contingent into Ukraine to secure Ukraine in the event that we get a ceasefire deal, but we're repeatedly hearing from the Russian side that they're not okay with NATO troops being stationed in there. So I'm very curious, like, how is this going to work out if Russia's not okay with NATO troops in there, but at the same time, you know, NATO is just very adamant about sending these NATO contingent troops in there. Now, would they be covered by NATO Article 5, or how's that going to work? We don't really know all the details on that yet. But again, they are coming from NATO nations. So here's a reply from War Translated. Sending NATO peacekeepers to aid Kiev would mean a war between Russia and NATO. This was according to Dmitry Medvedev just in the last 24 hours or so. Looks like this came out yesterday on March 16th. So Dmitry Medvedev, the chairman for the National Security Council for Russia, he came out claiming that this would lead to war. Now, obviously, we know Medvedev talks a lot like this very frequently. He's very aggressive in his nature and the way he speaks towards NATO, coming out a lot in the past talking about using nuclear weapons against NATO, even too. But he's stating that, yeah, it would lead to war if NATO troops were to be inside of Ukraine. And obviously, they also don't want Ukraine to be a part of NATO. So that could kind of appear that way, I guess, too. So just a major statement coming out from Medvedev. So again, letting you guys know that it doesn't look like Russia's okay with NATO troops inside of Ukraine. So that's going to be difficult to get that sorted out. Now for Max 24, Ukraine does not recognize the loss of land and will also refuse to prescribe restrictions for its armed forces and refusal to join NATO and the EU in the peace agreement, according to Foreign Minister Sabia. Okay, so Andrei Sabia has come out multiple times last week stating this also, that they want to be able to join NATO and EU at some point in the future. They don't want any restrictions on that. So yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work out too, because we know that Ukraine wants to get in NATO at some point. So definitely we can see here on both sides when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, there's going to be some major hurdles that, either side is going to have to give up, one of their major red lines, basically, is kind of how I see it. If not, we could potentially see this war continuing on down the road, is what to me looks like most likely the next scenario here that we see. Now from Bliskovka, Ukraine has a number of red lines in negotiations on a possible peace agreement, according to the Independent. In particular, it concerns refusal of additional territorial concessions despite Putin's desire to take away 4 Ukrainian regions partially controlled by Russia, return of thousands of Ukrainian children abducted by Russia, the need for international security guarantees in case Putin violates any ceasefire agreement, and return of thousands of civilians illegally detained by Russia. Okay, so it looks like Ukraine wants a lot of their civilians back, or just anybody illegally detained. And, we know a lot of children as well were taken away from these regions on the eastern side of Ukraine by Russia. So here's the report today, and it says revealed Ukraine's red lines for any peace deal with Putin as Trump tries to put pressure on the Russian president, who is stalling on talk of a ceasefire. The Independent has been told about the areas where Kiev does not want to negotiate. Okay, so clearly Ukraine has their own red lines as well. So again, it's going to be very difficult for Ukraine and Russia to come to some sort of agreement when basically these red lines on either side are 100% conflicting with each other. So we'll have to see how that plays out as we move into negotiations, but we're not even there yet. Now from Anton Gerashenko, Germany will allocate another 3 billion euros to help Ukraine, and in total, Berlin will provide Kiev with 7 billion euros in 2025, according to German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock. Thank you, Germany. It is also important that in addition to the investments in security and infrastructure provided for in the basic law, we are finally allocating another 3 billion euros to support Ukraine in 2025. This means that Germany will continue to provide 7 billion euros to Ukraine as it did last year, she said ahead of Foreign Affairs Council meeting in Brussels. Our goal is a strong and sovereign Ukraine. It is important not only to strengthen our defense capabilities, but also to take a quick and ambitious decision at the level of EU leaders and governments to provide military support, she added. Okay, so just a quick clip from her, 22 seconds long, basically stating that they're going to be giving Ukraine another 3 billion euros here very soon, and this will be in total for the year of 2025, 7 billion euros. So take a look.
Dafür ist auch wichtig, dass wir zusätzlich zu den Investitionen in Sicherheit und Infrastruktur im Grundgesetz jetzt endlich weitere 3 Milliarden Euro für unsere Ukraine-Unterstützung in 2025 bereitstellen. Damit wird Deutschland weiter 7 Milliarden Euro für die Ukraine wie auch im vergangenen Jahr zur Verfügung stellen. Dafür ist auch wichtig, dass
All right, so big support coming from Germany, okay? Another 3 billion euros in support, and Germany's been stepping up big lately, along with a lot of other European nations. So move on now to Ostap Vishnya. AFU continue advancement in Toretsk, okay? So we talked about Toretsk. This is a city in the eastern side of Ukraine, in the Donetsk region, that Ukraine has been really pushing into hard. And I apologize, this picture is very blurry. It's kind of hard to see, but the city of Toretsk is kind of right here. So the red indicates where Russia's controlling, yellow indicates Ukrainian advancement. So you can see here, probably about at least a quarter to a third of Toretsk is starting to be taken over by the Ukrainians. If you can see, they're also pushing into different areas, not just on the western side over here, but also on the north and the south west over here. They're starting to press into the city. So just a quick update letting you guys know that Ukraine's still fighting over here very hard, and they are starting to slowly take back this city and have been over the last week or two. So just quick update coming out from there. Now from Liskovka, Ukraine and South Korea discuss repatriation of captured DPRK soldiers, according to Yonhap News Agency, which is a major news agency out of South Korea. Seoul has once again expressed its readiness to take back the North Koreans. South Korea's constitution defines the entire Korean peninsula as its territory, including the residents of the DPRK. All right, so these are pictures of these two soldiers that well over a month ago, I think it might have been back in January actually, that we heard these two North Korean soldiers were captured by the Ukrainians alive, and they're still in captivity right now. Looks like this man right here, he was really badly hurt. It looks like he's healing up pretty good. And South Korea wants to try to take them back into their territory. Obviously, they came from North Korea, but South Korea wants to allow them into their country. Okay, so that's some big news. We heard about this a few weeks back, but it looks like South Korea is going to be moving towards discussions to making that happen. All right, now from Max 24, a refinery in the Krasnodar Krai was attacked by the latest Ukrainian missile Long Neptune on March 14th, according to UP sources. Okay, so we didn't have official confirmation of this at the time. Some people were indicating that maybe it was Neptune that attacked the Tuapse oil refinery just a couple days ago. We did a whole video on that. It does look like officially confirmed that the Long Neptune missile was actually used to strike the Tuapse oil refinery. Okay, so again, we talked about that a few days ago. Does look like that is confirmed today. So just want to give you that quick update there. Now from Anton Gerashenko, United States is reportedly withdrawing from the International Center for the Prosecution of the Crime of Aggression against Ukraine, a group that investigates leaders responsible for the invasion of Ukraine, starting with Putin, obviously, and including Russia's allies in Belarus, North Korea, and Iran, at the New York Times reports. And it says earlier information appeared that the USA is also reducing its participation, in the war crimes accountability team that includes experienced prosecutors and works on holding accountable the Russians responsible for committing war crimes in Ukraine. No official reasons other than the need to redeploy resources were given for these withdrawals, the New York Times writes. Okay, so here's the official report. U.S. to withdraw from group investigating responsibility for Ukraine invasion. The decision is the latest indication of the Trump administration's move away from holding President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia accountable for crimes committed against Ukrainians. Okay, so this is a very big report today. Lots of mainstream news covering this, and I'm sure this will upset a lot of people. But at the same time, maybe it won't completely surprise anybody, as we've been seeing basically the USA moving towards Russia's side and backing them a lot when it comes to this war. And looks like, yeah, the USA is not going to be investigating any kind of war crimes on the Russians anymore. And it looks like, to me, there's lots of major talks going on in the background behind closed doors. And it looks like the U.S. is really trying to work with Russia, maybe try to bend the knee to them a lot to maybe try to end this war, or maybe it's just them siding with them completely. You guys can let me know what you think, but I'm sure this will upset a lot of people that are supporting Ukraine right now. So that's some big news today. Now from Liskovka, Russia's special services travel the world to recruit foreigners for war, according to Cispilny, if I'm saying that right, with reference to Ukrainian intelligence. Mercenaries from Cuba, a number of African countries, and other pro-Russia states are undergoing military training in Crimea and later fighting against Ukraine. They, foreigners, are not evacuated from the battlefield, but are specifically targeted with heavy flamethrower systems so that not a trace of body remains, so that it is impossible to identify and make any payments, according to GUR representative Andriy Cherniak, about the attitude of the Russians. Okay, so this is not a big surprise either, right? We know that Russia's been recruiting a lot of foreigners from other countries, especially from Africa. We've seen that. There's even been reports of even, like, I think Chinese soldiers being recorded on the ground fighting with Russia also. I'm sure they're getting foreigners all over the place. Ukraine's kind of been doing the same thing as well, right, in some aspects. But yeah, apparently they try to eliminate them with flamethrowers and remove their bodies completely. That way they don't have to send payments to the families or whatnot. So if that happens to be true, which I think could be highly likely the case, it's a pretty crazy story to have to talk about, right? So yeah, so foreigners fighting for Russia, we've heard that before. Now moving on to Ukraine front line, Russia's largest refinery was just hit. 50% of Moscow's fuel supply is at risk after a drone struck the country's largest refinery. Okay, so What people are showing on X just over the last 24 hours is reportedly this could be the Moscow oil refinery. Now, to me, this looks more likely that it could have been the Two Apps oil refinery, but I'm not 100% sure. But people are indicating that the Moscow oil refinery was attacked. I think it was just about 5 or 6 days ago when we had Moscow being attacked. So that was video coming out. And take a look at this real quick. This is from Newsweek. And it says Ukraine hits Russian refinery supplying 50% of Moscow's fuel, according to the Kiev. And this came out today, March 17, 2025. And it says right here, Ukrainian drones struck a Russian oil refinery in Moscow that supplies the capital with about half its fuel, Kiev's military said. And it says right down here, Ukraine's unmanned system forces worked with the Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU, and military intelligence, HUR, to conduct the drone strike on the Moscow oil refinery overnight, March 11th. Okay, so that would have been 6 days ago. General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces said. Okay, so this is actually the only report I was able to find today on this. So I'm not 100% sure whether this took place, but we have seen Moscow coming under attack by drones recently over the past week. I think it happened 2, maybe 3 times. So allegedly, maybe the Moscow oil refinery could have been hit, and maybe we had some damage over there, and that's what that video is that we were watching. But I can't completely confirm this 100%. So I just wanted to show you guys this information, let you know about this, as again, this is the only report from Newsweek, our mainstream news in general, that's kind of reporting this today. So maybe more reports will come out on this over the next 24 hours. But right now, that's all I was able to find. So just in case that happens to be a true story, wanted to pull that up for you guys. Now from Republicans against Trump. Trump, we're doing pretty well with Russia. I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. We'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants, dividing up certain assets. Okay, so I'd love to show you guys this video, but unfortunately the audio quality is just so low. You guys can't even really hear anything to begin with. So that's basically all he was stating here that I wanted to show you guys. Is that looks like tomorrow Trump and Putin are going to be holding a phone call at least, and they're going to be discussing land inside of Ukraine, who's going to be getting what assets, and just trying to figure out a way to end this war. And he also is going to be talking about power plants, most likely the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant we heard last week, that they're trying to figure out who's going to gain control of that. Is it going to be given to Ukraine? Is Russia going to continue controlling it? We don't really know. But basically dividing certain assets is what he's talking about here, figuring out who's going to get control of what to try to freeze the war and end it over inside of Ukraine. So we should be hearing some big news coming out tomorrow from the Trump administration in regards to phone call with Vladimir Putin. Okay. Now for Vice Grad 24, breaking Lithuanian prosecutors announce evidence linking Russia's military intelligence service, GRU, to arson attacks in Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland. An IKEA store in Vilnius and a shopping mall in Warsaw were set ablaze. Polish Prime Minister Tusk says Poland shares the assessment. So this is interesting. I haven't heard anything about this at all. If I did, I would have shown you guys this, but apparently we had like shopping centers and like an IKEA, that's like a furniture store, that apparently went up in flames in Vilnius. That would have been inside of Lithuania, and then apparently a shopping mall in Warsaw, which is inside of Poland. And reportedly, the Lithuanian prosecutors have some evidence linking to Russia's military that Russia was carrying out these arson attacks. Okay, so that could definitely create some problems here when the negotiations start to move forward, because we know Europe is supposed to be involved in that. So I'm sure they'll be bringing that to the table. And I also have this from Savchenko Volodymyr Tusk, which is Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister for Poland. Dear allies, the investigation of the Lithuanian prosecutor's office has confirmed our suspicions that responsible for setting fires to shopping centers in Vilnius and Warsaw are the Russian secret services. Good to know before negotiations. Okay, just a quick clip coming out from I think this is either Lithuania or Poland, not really sure, but a fire over here that allegedly could be one of these warehouses that were potentially burned down by the Russians. Take a look. So yeah, if this happens to be Russia and directly connected to Russia's military, I mean, could that be an act of war against Russia? I mean, we've been seeing a lot of arson attacks and things like that inside of of European nations in general, and just lots of like talk of hybrid attacks, hybrid warfare with Russia. So definitely a very dangerous situation over here if the Russian military does have some ties to these. But allegedly, Lithuanian prosecutors do have some information on that. So we'll probably get more info on this here in the next couple days. Now moving on to Max 24, Ukrainian air defense shot down 90 out of 174 Shahed UAVs, 70 drones suppressed by electronic warfare. Okay, so lots of drones going into Ukraine last night. Also, not too many reports on damage from what I saw, but 174 in total. And it looks like Ukraine brought down a good majority of these, either shot down or suppressed by electronic warfare. So there's your daily update on the amount of drones going into Ukraine. Now we've got Russian losses as our last update of the day from the Kiev Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of March 17th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Now it says here Russia's losses as of March 17th, 1,210 troops, 11 AFVs, 101 vehicles and fuel tanks, 19 tanks, 37 artillery systems, 54 UAVs, 1 MLRS, 1 special equipment being destroyed. So big number right here, 19 tanks, quite a bit of tanks, more than usual we see being destroyed. Troop numbers about average, vehicle fuel tanks pretty average recently as well, but definitely a much higher tank number being destroyed here. So just want to give you guys some quick updates coming out from this war and get you guys caught up on what's happening over here. So again, thank you so much for tuning in for this update on today's date, March 17th, 2025. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. I should have more news alerts coming out for you guys today. So thank you again so much for tuning in. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.